And it's a match that I simply cannot wait to get started. Let's get to it. Our first of the upper bracket matchups today. And it is a big one. Moist Esports taking on Solary. The all-Dutch lineup looking to take on the best performing European team, Johnny. Counting down here. Let's get
boy. Oh boy, here we go. Another challenge for the young guns who just keep on delivering. And now under a new banner that so far has gone undefeated. Moist in RLCS. What a great sight it is to see. And Moisturize with the first big shot of the game. It's going to go wide though. Not something that Moist were doing yesterday. They weren't rushing themselves. They were in the final third for large portions, but they still managed to get the goals eventually.
If you know anything about conventional Rocket League, then you don't know anything when it comes to Moist Esports play style, because they are just going to throw everything and see what eventually works. Rise currently on the ball, got Mike Boy chasing him down as they both try and contest for that boost. Still a good play so far by Solary. Well, setting themselves down here. Bo looks for the crossfield shot, and Rise covers the angle very well. In Solary are not scared of what has been the most informed European team in quite some time.
Yeah, this is a team that will be a threat. I think Solary might have one of the highest floors out of all the teams in this competition. And if Moist don't have a good day, they're going to be in big trouble. You know, if Moist can play at their best, do Solary have that threat against them? I don't know. That's the question that remains to be answered. But what we do know is that Solary are extremely solid. And here comes Mike Boy down the field. Going to be stopped in the back corner by Vatira. Great control by Vatira. Not just putting a halt to that advance, but keeping the ball under control and turning the possession around.
You can see Joyo just loitering around. Moist are not a team that will be overly in a rush to get everybody back. They tend to trust whoever is remaining, even if it means putting them in a 2v1. But early signs, very, very good for Solary. They're getting solid transitions. They're not getting stuck in their own side of the field, and they're doing well at taking those boosts away. Foe gets faked out by Vatira. Can't get past Mike Boy. That does set up Joyo pretty well, who gets very much harassed. And again, Solary controlling the field, leaving some players around. They've got options so far, although Oli's not really helped out here. He's put his team in a bit of a spot, and it's now Moist looking for the offense.
And Moist still being patient with it. You know that they've got 3 mechanical players on the roster who are ready to burst into action if they get any opportunities. Solary really make their opponents work for chances. We saw that in their earlier round matches in this tournament. They beat Dignitas, they beat Endpoint. These are teams who are currently top 4 in the overall standings in EU. They're teams who played at the Winter Major. And they're teams that Solary have already taken down in this event. That's not a good sign for Moist, as they are, of course, also in the top of the EU rosters in terms of overall standings. They were at the Winter Major, so the trends, you know, so far looking pretty good for Solary. Going good in the matchup. But Moist have got so many different levels that they can go to. This is just the beginning for them. Solary have got to try and capitalize early if Moist have come out of the gates slowly.
Tira leaves it, instead tried for the floor pinch, but that was well covered. Now to the stealing for Rise. This is where Moist Esports do their best work, looking for the blocks, looking for any time that ball can be left for a free shot. But now Vatira all by himself does have support coming, and it was in the form of a off-angle pinch from his 2 teammates, as Moist need to get themselves back into shape here. Vatira does well, but there is low boost. You can see it on Rise. Vatira has to do good work. So far, past 1, passes it over to his teammate, and that is going to get rid of the danger, at least for now. Solary, however, are doing great work when it comes to getting possession of this ball. Oli not going to turn around quick enough. Vatira charges down for the challenge.
Yeah, Vatira decided to just go for it there. You've got to mix in those early challenges and threes. You can't just constantly back down with fakes. And though almost got it past him. Defense looking a tiny bit shaky for Moist, as I saw Joy and Vatira clash on the back wall. Now the backboard is undefended. Throws up for it. Hard shot on net, saved by Moist, but only barely.
You can still see boost just very difficult to come by, especially when you're getting demo all the time. Vatira at least avoids it for now, but he does need people to help him out. Off the backboard, Rise gets a booming clear, but as always, Solary locking down that midfield. They choose to back down at least for now. Solary to Mike Boy. What a play that is. Mike Boy might actually be a little bit disappointed with his first touch. It allowed Moist to get at least back into play. And 30 seconds, one of the more back and forth 0-goal games that we've seen, but nobody's had that clear-cut opportunity just yet. Mike Boy waiting around. Not trying to force the pace that they're not comfortable with. Oh, Tasker trying to clear. Booms it. Mike Boy, target man. Looks for the shot. Hits the crossbar. We stay at 0-0.
Wow, what a shot that was from Mike Boy. Just narrowly missing the top corner. That completely stunned Moist. They were just watching and waiting to see if that would go in.
And here we go. Overtime underway. A big tone setter for this series. Remember, best of 7. Vatira looking to try and set himself up. It's over Oli. Foe, I think, might have caught him off. Takes his time, pops it over 1, and still gets to maintain control. Foe is having a brilliant game when it comes to these defensive transitions. Mike Boy booms yet again, this time miscommunicated. Didn't really have a target around, but did still find a gap in the defense. Joyo with Rise on the far side. Can he get it over to him? It's a risky play. Rise jumped up early, and Vatira cleans up.
Yeah, still the better chances going the way of Solary at the end of this game, and now into overtime. Moist being tested once again in defense. Now, Oli controls the play, but Vatira having success with these lunging challenges, getting solid contact on the ball every time that he does this. It's making it difficult for Solary to read him. So Rise keeping the ball in the back corner. Great deflection to deny a follow-up shot.
Yeah, Mike Boy couldn't follow up. Out of boost for him. But still, Solary are having the better of this game. Joyo, he drops it down. He needs another block. It's the crossbar for a second time. Foe couldn't finish it off. He was immediately challenged by Rise. But Moist Esports are barely holding on. They've got their own chance now. Joyo lays it off to Vatira, realizes that Foe was diving on in. Didn't want to leave that one to chance. My goodness, Johnny, what a game we're having.
And Moist, they've got to try and get the ball forward into the midfield. I love the patience here from Rise again, though. This is a big chance for him. Oli completely shutting him down, but that does bring Vatira into the play. And if you're going to go an air dribble 1v1 against Moist, you're not going to have a good day. Oh, Joyo snuck one through. It didn't look like it was going to make it past the goalkeeper, but Moist, after being up against it for the majority of this endgame, have taken game number 1. Side flip from Oli by accident. Such an unfortunate ending of the game, which Solary played very well.
Yes, 7 minutes of really good Rocket League from Solary, but no goals and no win to come from it. That is disheartening, especially when we do take a look at the scoreboard. Oli pretty far down there. That is not the performance he would like to have had to try and set himself up for what was a huge one for their overall spring split. But let's talk about how big this is as well, just to Dutch Rocket League, because we were talking about the European nations earlier on. We didn't really get to mention the Dutch Rocket League scene that much at all, and we haven't really had a chance to do that for a couple of years now. To have their own representatives doing this well is massive for them.
Yeah, it's a country with an extremely rich history for Rocket League pros back to day 1, you know, the first season, second season, even third, fourth, going on through all of the early seasons of RLCS. The Netherlands were a big country in the EU, repping multiple different rosters, multiple different players at the top tier. They've got multiple world champions, and who knows how long that could continue with players like Jory is in the scene still. Now, a full Dutch roster coming along and looking threatening. This Solary roster, I think, played overall the better game there, but like you mentioned, Oli looking quiet, and that's a big difference compared to yesterday. He wasn't the player at the bottom of the scoreboard yesterday at all. In fact, I think he averaged the top stats for the entirety of day 1 across the entire regional. So we need to see more from Oli. He needs to show up big here for this team. I think he's their main creator of chances. He's the troublemaker, usually, for Solary. The player that teams usually have a difficult time playing against. Didn't see a lot of that in game 1.
Well, plenty of time to try and turn that back around, but you might get the feeling that was the big chance for Solary just to settle themselves down, get a lead, and maybe catch Moist Esports out. Instead, Moist Esports, against the run of play, have got that first game win. Here is Oli. Couldn't quite get the better of that challenge. Instead, it dropped straight with a Joyo, who can try and recover that. Instead, it's Vatira that moves on in. And this is a lack of fear that we've got very used to seeing from Moist Esports. That was 3 players committed just to hold on in the midfield. Now Mike Boy looks to set himself up. It's just total defense when you come to Moist Esports. They are always keeping all 3 of their players involved, looking for bumps, looking for demos, looking to steal your boost, anything just to be annoying.
Look at Vatira. Every single time that he's 50-50ing the ball, he is coming out victorious. And now centering. Oh, what a save though by Tho. It looked like it was going to be the opening goal there for Rise. Not to be, as it gets sent wide of the net by a great save. Not the first time that we've seen a goal line save at that level in this matchup, and now only cutting off the infield pass. You start to see more from him. Solary could take the reins in this series, but of course, whenever I say that, I have to remind myself, we're talking about Moist here. Any one of their players can take over this lobby. And right now, Vatira looking dominant with every single challenge he puts in.
Vatira, one of the strongest defenders out there when it comes just to giving no quarter on those challenges, although Tho did jump on in, only a little bit far forward. A bit more difficult to try and stop the play, but you can see three-way passing play is exactly what was needed by Solary. Have got rid of it, at least for now. And Solary haven't changed much here. I'm happy to see that. They had good ideas coming into this second game. It just didn't quite work out for them. Now they need the goal to go with it. Still 7 minutes of gameplay. Oh, in 9 minutes, actually, at this point, if we include overtime. Still no goals for them. Rise looks for the setup. Doesn't have the support. Vatira jumps in quite late. That does leave Joyo by himself. Rise getting back, and Rise was needed.
Yeah, making sure to just get back as quickly as possible there, helping his teammate who was alone at the back briefly, like you mentioned. That's something that you are going to see from all the top teams in the world these days. Gone are the days where rotations are away from the ball and in the middle of nowhere. No, activity is at an all-time high in modern-day Rocket League, as shown, I think, most clearly at that Winter Major Grand Final between it was Team Queso at the time and G2 Esports. Great to see with the new split underway now and under the new org, that playstyle, that drive from Moist still on show for all to see. As here comes Joyo, the player who really stole the show at the Winter Major. Yet to see any stunning goals from him today.
Mike Boyd needs to get a second touch. He gets there just in time. Moist now over to Joyo. Delays the shot. Try to go low. And Oli strong enough, but Joyo's sticking around. It's a pretty low chance of that going in, but they're still willing to give it a go. 90 seconds left here. Goals have become very hard to come by, although block after block. There's Rise's opportunity. Can't get it from that angle. Instead, sets up for Joyo off the backboard. And Oli will get rid of it. That's to your point earlier on, Johnny. The recoveries are so good now, as we see the shot go a little bit too high, that you have to take the chance on first asking.
Yeah, how impressive does Vatira continue to be, though? Every single challenge, he's just dominating them. He outplayed one player in the back corner there. Okay, he gets outplayed by Air there, but before that, he was pretty consistent and pretty consistently dominant with his back corner plays in a 1v3 situation, setting up both of his teammates. Now here's Vatira, mind games it for Rise. Pre-jumping, Mike Boy makes contact, as does Tho on the follow-up shot. Another 0-0 game as we approach the end of game number 2.
Vatira sets himself up for the challenge off the backboard. Oli's on target, and that's 1-0.
Oli showing up in game number 2. We pointed out he had a quiet game number 1. That was off the back of a Rise mistouch. Look how ready Oli was to attack the position, though. That was quick to the near post. And with only 35 seconds left, we have got a real series in our hands.
Vatira going over to the wall. Now it's Moist that needs to try and find something. He chases down Oli. Doesn't quite get rid. Joyo can't get back down. Not in time. Tho wins the challenge. That's Vatira. Sets up. Wants to find a good block instead. Mike Boy just crashes straight through him. One of the most tense series we've seen. Only 1 goal per game so far. Only 1 goal each across the entire series. That could be about to change off the backboard. And Tho very aware of the situation, very aware of the danger. But it's not gone just yet. Drops down. Who's there to finish it? Rise is there, as he always will be.
What is it with Moist and what is it with these boys? And there's 0 second goals. This is just ridiculous. They were doing this yesterday as well. 0 second winners, now 0 second equalizer. What's a pass by Vatira? Again, crushing it, whether it's on the ground or in the air. You don't want to 50-50 this guy right now.
Gonna have to immediately send off the request to direct as to how many that is.
What?
It drops away, and Foe takes it after Moist Esports just collapsed on the goal line.
Oh, that's careless by Rise. 2 times now in almost the exact same position. He has conceded possession and given a clear shot on target. That was a much tighter angle, though. Credit to Tho for being able to send that one on net from there. But Rise 2 times. Same area of the field. He just gets either a bad touch or on the wrong side of the ball and leaves the net open for Solary to capitalize on. That's huge, though, for Solary. If they'd lost this one after conceding a 0-second equalizer, it would be extremely difficult to come back. But now they're in not a bad position. In fact, I'd say they're in a great position because they're probably remembering that game 1 and thinking, we could have probably taken that one. We had a lot of really close chances. And now game number 2, same thing again. They were pressing. They had lots of opportunities. If they can just find a way to get the ball past Vatira at any point on the ground, if they can find a way to neutralize the 50-50 game that he's brought to the table here, I think Solary are in a great spot. Oli showing up in this game in a much bigger way. These guys are a threat.
Yeah, absolutely. But you said a sentence there that a lot of teams are still trying to figure out how do we get past Vatira. Well, this time around, there was a couple of occasions where they were able to figure that one out. Solary do need some more of that, and I agree with you. They've been the stronger of the 2 teams. It's marginal. That one, if anything, was actually a little bit more possession for Moist than they had in the first game. Still, opportunities went against them. Oli chasing down. Some of that loved from Solary so far. They are not diving in. They are picking their chances, and there's so many fake challenges that it's become a massive mind game across the field.
Yeah, they're very tough to read. And like I mentioned earlier, I think they've got one of the highest floors. When I say that, I mean that on any given day, you know that you're going to get a decent performance out of these guys at the worst. In their short time that they've been together, I haven't seen a terrible game or a terrible series. They're always decent. And oh dear, that's not gone well for Rise. Moist gonna concede early here. Rise just ended up almost completely out of boost. And he didn't expect those touch to go through. Even with low boost, he should be saving that.
Yeah, he just panicked. There's no real way to describe that one. He was in a good position, went early, and just was nowhere near it by the end. This is more encouragement for Solary, although that could be about to disappear. Infield pass, 1-1.
Vatira again, assisting the goal for Moist. Mike Boy had to worry about the demo there, had to worry about the direct shot. You can't cover the infield pass when you got that much to think about. So great decision from Vatira there to go infield. Rise, snipe in the bottom left corner.
Double good kickoff though from Solary. A solid job of gaining possession at the start of the play, although that challenge doesn't help them. And even that diving challenge that we saw just a moment ago from Joyo is just the amount of trust that they have in the back too. Willing to go for the 1 in 10 play just in case it might work because, hey, the other 2 are probably going to be fine. Rise does take over, goes around Foe. Now Mike Boy up next. The challenge, nobody on that side for Moist. Although Oli just left it for Vatira, puts Foe in an awkward spot. Rise moving on in very slowly, takes it by himself. Who wants to challenge him as he looks to go the whole way? It's off the crossbar yet again. Crossbar's getting a lot of work done today. Still, we stay at 1 each.
A great air dribble by Rise. He actually scored a similar air dribble yesterday in order to put them into the upper semifinals. Squashing it in from an impossible angle. Making contact with the crossbar as well. You know, mixing in those standard air dribbles is a great strategy for Moist because they're so known for their flip resets. Everybody's challenging them low on the air dribbles, so you actually have a window to go over the top of the challenge a lot of the time. Rise showing how that works on the last play.
Foe with a shooting chance. Goes up too high, instead sets up Oli. And Vatira will see that one away. Now takes over. Rise, the target man downfield. Can't get the setup. Already back. Foe continuing his somewhat good work in the midfield. Didn't get a follow-up from a teammate, though, quick enough. That one definitely required a follow-up. Mike Boy, really happy to see that an orange car was to their first. Now Rise up high. Oli, I think pre-jumped that one. He was certain that was going to come his way. Rise off the off angle. Jumps up awkwardly. Joyo's challenge also sets up very well. I don't know if they've got anyone available to shoot. They did in the form of Rise, but no power generated.
And Rise not getting a clean landing either on that back wall. It's unusual to see a solo shot followed by a bad recovery from any Moist player. That's one of the most consistent aspects of the game. And hang on, that's going to be a big chance. But Joyo manages to double tap and clear off the floor, almost pre-flips into a counter-attack. Rise going to continue on now. Double tap off the side wall. Batira decides not to commit to that ball.
It's kind of the secret weapon of Moist, isn't it? Their recoveries are so much better than you ever think they will be. That the moment you think it's your chance, nope, it's still their turn. Almost got Solary caught out here. Now Joy off the first touch. Flip reset. Oli's having none of it. Booming clear. Can Oli continue to follow? No, instead. Leaves it for Foe. Over the top of Mike Boy. Oli trying to take it by himself. He has got time. But he didn't have any more space. Took too much of it there. And Foe's out of stretch. Almost caught out of position.
Joyo's really starting to wake up in this game 3. That unpredictable Joyo that I've come to know, and also just a player who's inspired the entire Rocket League pro scene with his playstyle recently, starting to show up in the Fennec of all vehicles as well. He almost makes it look like he's misplayed sometimes. He makes it look as if he's lost control of the ball, only then to somehow get back to it and outplay his opponents.
And then Rise up with the follow. Become huge at the moment. Just aerial battles, one after another. Nobody quite able to get the clean win just yet, but all 3 players on both teams under so much pressure. Speaking of pressure, Joy putting some on the backboard, and Foe avoids it, follows up, gets the block. That is the level of defending we're working with right now.
So many passing options becoming available from Moist. Solo plays really drawing a lot of attention from defenders. You need to commit 2 players to defend against any one of these air dribbles. That leaves somebody open in the infielder at the back post every single time. Will Moist decide to use that same pass that's netted the opening goal in this game for themselves?
Starting to feel like we should just be starting these games in overtime as we go to yet another one here on DFH Stadium. Let's put yourself up at a 2-1 advantage. Last time the game was over pretty quick off a Moist Esports mistake. They don't want to try and provide another one here. As Rise immediately dives on in. Mike Boy with Oli in support. Chooses not to jump up there. Probably the correct decision. Out to the wall. I'm curious when Moist will try and cash in, because they have been creating space from these solo plays. The passing plays, the infield pass, that's all available. That's all on the table now. Just when will they go for it? Rise, space to work with. Off the backboard. Oli's caught out.
Well played.
Needed the help and he got it.
Yeah, that's a great defensive shot, or defensive clear there by Tho. He read exactly what was going on, beat the attacker to the play, and essentially what he's trying to do there is just position exactly in the same way that an attacking player would, and then miss his own net. Just make sure that he hits it clear instead of hitting it forward. So great awareness by Tho. Not the first time that he's either cuts off a challenge or cuts off an attempted passing play. The defense for Solary, very, very difficult for Moist to get past at the moment.
Right, that's the perfect bounce for him if he wants to try and just guide the ball away from his side of the field. Batira goes for the ceiling this time. That was a brilliant second touch, but nobody on the field is going to read that one instead. Full power is what's needed to end the overtime.
Solary still reeling from Batira's advance. Took everybody out of the play, put everyone in a difficult position, and then Joyo's corner pass to Rise ends the game. It's only a matter of time. Your defense can be solid as a rock, but eventually Moist are going to find a way through. They never overextended. They never rushed themselves. They took their time. They just kept going for outplays, and eventually an open net presented itself. 1 game advantage back instated for Moist.
And it's starting to look like the Moist Esports style of game that they want to play. Solary can't afford to get dragged into this because it is air dribble after air dribble. And it seems like Solary are trying to respond to this by playing the exact same way. I don't think that's what's going to work for them here, Johnny. They need to get back to what they do so well.
It's a tough one. I mean, what do you do when you're playing against Moist? Do you just wait for them to make misplays and wait to counterattack them?
That to me
it works for Solary a lot of the time, but is it going to work today? I don't know.
Yeah, I want to go back to the thing you just said there, which is you're waiting for Moist to make mistakes. The problem is their recoveries are so good that you think they've made a mistake and you go for a simpler play because you think that's the right one at the time. Instead, no, you're still dealing with the same amount of defenders. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah, there was a crazy recovery from Joyo in defense where it looked like they'd blundered again. It looked like they'd gifted a free shot to Solary, but then Joyo suddenly floor doubles in defense, and it's Moist on the attack. So it's going to be very difficult for Solary to attack with the same confidence that they had earlier on. They picked up a couple goals off weak touches from Moist in games number 1 and 2. That's actually a lack of a touch. Those are going to get a freebie. But they didn't even have to commit to that one before knowing it was an open net, as Rise again just doesn't make contact.
Maybe we take it back, Johnny. Yes, maybe you do wait for the mistake from Moist.
Hey, maybe you do.
Because that's what's provided the most goals.
They've had a couple. You know, the Rise made a couple of mistakes on Aquadome. He's now made a big mistake on Utopia as well. They're not incredibly regular, but they are happening. So
all you have to do is not concede 2 goals in 5 minutes against them. There you go. You'll probably get your 1 off a mistake. Maybe. It really is that simple, isn't it? So we get ourselves continuing on here in game 4. Vatira, 2v1. Don't need to worry about it too much. Although Vatira 2v1 is a position that he's got quite used to over the last few months. Now Rise had Joy on midfield, chose instead to go for the backboard. One thing I do want to see from Solary, though, is that, as we do see Rise get over, sure, a heart-in-mouth moment from all of us. I want to see Solary continue just to jump, even if they don't think they're going to get it. As we do see Mike Boy, he has got that one. Good setup, but the shot was not there to finish it. Too close to Vatira.
Rise, 1v1 with Mike Boy.
Oh, my goodness.
He's got over the top of him and in. What a regain by Rise. Made a huge mistake to put his team 1 goal down. And now he gets the outplay after his team created space for him off the ball. And absolutely nails the flip reset. Bar down and into the net. Moisturize on the board for his team.
And it's the same as always. You think you've got them. You've set yourself up so well, but unless you finish the job, then you are under pressure, and you're going to be under pressure real quick. 2 minutes gone. Moist back into this game. Good early challenge as well. Foe, who has found a lot of success on these transition plays, not going to find as much this time. Moist Esports starting to just lock down the pathing that we see from Solary. Rise taking his time. Foe, good fake challenge from him. Opens up so much space. Wow. Booms the ball past Joyo. They're going to need more of that.
He's been brilliant. Tho's been doing for Solary exactly what Vatira has been doing for Moist. Both these players are so difficult to get past, and they're buying their teammates so much time. Such an interesting matchup to watch. This is what Vatira's been doing all series long. He just gets behind the ball and he flips into it better than you do. He's just stronger. He's just going through people. I can't wait for Tho and Vatira to 50-50 and just watch the ball explode, because these guys are just on another level right now as Vatira dissects another one. Are we going to see that challenge come through? Vatira versus Tho. Tho only gets it as far as Rise, who snipes the button left. Rise with a perfect shot. But once again, it's Vatira making the space, making the plays that his teammates can thrive off the back of.
Yeah, unfortunately for Oli, it's such a hard position to be in, because you want to play what Vatira's doing, but he's got to try and consider, where's the ball going to go to next? If we get the block here, where do I need to be? And instead, he is stuck in no man's land. As I mentioned, very difficult to make the right decision in those situations, but it's the fine margins that are going to make the difference here. As Foe clears again. There's Oli. I want to see more of that. That one's not going to quite fake out Joy and get him to make a bad mistake, but it has worked previously. Moist are always going to have to respect the opportunity that, yes, they can probably hit this and they can probably turn this on target. Foe looks to go low. Get some space for his squad. Joyo just daring anybody come and stop me off his own backboard to the other side of the field. And that's so much time wasted on the clock. Time that Solary needs.
And in a manner that Solary cannot replicate. Just every now and then we're getting these flashes of brilliance from Joyo. We're getting these flashes of brilliance from Moist. And these are things that most teams in the world just cannot do. You don't have players, multiple players in the roster who could just go 1v2, go 1v3 and still have control. But Moist are one of those teams. Joyo's going to try and do it once again. This time Offloading to Vatira, whose shot will slap the near post, though able to watch it and wait for it to bounce into position. Who have Solary got? Who can make those kind of plays? This is what they're lacking in the matchup at the moment.
Oh, Foe wins the challenge against Vatira. 50 seconds left. Solary need the full send. Otherwise, they will be against 3 separate match points. Good touch from Vatira. Can't get there, but instead he's got everyone else jumping. Joyle with a chance to put the game away. 3-1.
Once again, Vatira is a menace. He chased the stone into the back wall. Everybody's in a panic. And a lovely little goal secure there by Rise. He's padding the stats. The top goal scorer of the Winter Major. Getting another one. Say sorry, Joyo. You can't have that goal. Vatira, you can't have that.
Dear me.
They're going to concede a kickoff goal. That is a massive mistake by Moist. 2-goal lead. Just 34 seconds left on the clock. And they played the riskiest strategy that we all know and hate. Maybe you guys love it. I hate it. They're asking to concede a kickoff goal.
I know the moment it happens, I'm about to get a Johnny Boy rant.
Does this happen when anyone else is casting? Is it just me?
I think it happens all the time, but it really sets you off.
You're
there
2 goals up. Why?
25 seconds left, and yes, that 2-goal lead has been dropped down to a 1. They have escaped this time without conceding a kickoff goal, and that has been a very strong suit of Solary throughout this series. Oli now looks for the support. Mike Boy didn't rush for it. Goes over the top, and Rise gets enough of a touch on the ball. And Joyo's follow-up shot should potentially finish it. Got to get that ball down to the floor.
Oh.
Tho keeps it up, but it's right back over. And Moist Esports have got the win.
That was a pretty ridiculous block there from Tho, having to treat the entire floor of the pitch as a big goal, and you're defending the whole thing. And unfortunately, it proved to be too difficult for Solary there, who have called a timeout. And so, that's sensible. I don't expect too much of a strategical change from these guys. They are just the consistent team. They know what they're going to do. They know what they want to do. The only question is, can they slow down the momentum with this timeout enough to stop Moist in their tracks? I don't think they can, but I can't wait to see what this team are going to do post timeout, because what we've seen from them up until now, not just in this tournament, but even in the pre-RLCS events that have been happening during the transfer window, Solary have just stuck to their game plan. This is the first time it hasn't worked.
I really want to, give a whole lot of credit over to Foe as well, because I spent a lot of time when he was over on Guild. I was watching him. He was probably the player that I kind of want to say annoyed me the most when I was watching him, because you saw the skill set and it looked like he was utilizing it the wrong way. His entire job was just chase the ball, chase the ball, chase the ball. And he would do it on the opposite side of the field. He was very dogged. He was very good at stealing your boost and just getting in the way, giving his team time, to get back. But he's being utilized in a smarter position here, in my opinion. He's so good defensively. He can hold up the ball for so long. And it, I feel, plays to his strengths. And this is a Foe that is significantly improved from where he was 1 year ago.
Absolutely. And Tho is one of the players who has made it this far in RLCS events, even going back as far as the pre-RLCS X seasons. He's been making top 8s with so many different rosters. You could just put him into any team and he seems to do well. He seems to just be very difficult to play against, but at the same time, in this roster at least, seemingly quite easy to synergize with. The Solary look like a very well-oiled machine. They have double committed a few times in the last game there, but it's hard not to when Moist are threatening from so many different angles, when Moist are attacking the ball so quickly in the box and in the final third. That really forces the opposing team to start jumping and start committing more quickly, just relying on the recoveries after double commits, even in some cases triple commits, to get back into position. So don't really fault Solary too much for that. They just lack that X factor, at least today. They lack that Joyo, who can just get a 1v3 outplay. They lack that Vatira, who just looks like he can't lose a 50-50, can't lose a challenge. And Rise, bouncing back, regain after such an early misplay. Not the first one this series. Once again, showing that Moist don't need everything to be going well in order to turn it on and play well. It can be going all wrong for Rise, and he still scores a hat-trick, albeit one of the goals stolen from Joyo. Oli's going to open the scoring in Wasteland. Quick play at the near post by Solary. What result post-timeout that is.
And this has been Solary's best play in terms of how they've been creating opportunities when they go simple, when they just look for the pace. It's the second one that we've seen them really create from that sort of opportunity. Now they put themselves in a good position to really start off this game. A reminder that whoever loses this one, I believe, takes on Carmine Corp over in the lower bracket. So not that there was ever going to be an easy option down there, but still not someone that you really want to be playing against with your tournament lives on the line as that one hits the post. Follow up from Oli, and he grabs the brace.
Much more of a three-man offense here from Solary. The aggression is clearly what they've decided to add to their offensive arsenal. They were trying to sit back and wait for Moist to make misplays, and I don't really blame them. Moist made a couple of mistakes in the first game. They made quite a lot of mistakes in this series, so it's tempting to just say, okay, let's just wait for those mistakes and make sure that we don't make any of our own. That didn't turn out to be a winning strategy. You got to go and force mistakes sometimes in matchups like Moist, matchups against some of the best teams in the world. If you're just waiting on their misplays, unfortunately, even if they make them, they're probably still going to outplay you more and swing it in their favor.
It's a strategy that's almost okay in a best of 5. But you're asking for a team like this to never figure out for a minimum of 20 minutes. It's just not going to happen. Not at this level, not of a team as capable of as Moist Esports. So I do really like what I've seen. I like what I've seen in general from Solary. They've been very impressive, not only today, but throughout the entire tournament. Oli decides not to try and go for the hat trick. He does get the bump, but who's going to claim it? Mike Boy wants the goal. 3-0. Timeout buff is real.
Huge bump off the ball there from Oli, and nice little pre-flip finish there from Mike Boy, albeit an open net. A lot of time left in the game though, so they really have to be careful. All it takes is one goal for Moist, and the comeback will be on. They know how to pile on the pressure in the closing stages of a game. This is even when Solary need to be the most careful. I want to see more aggression out of them though. If they just decide to sit back on a 3-goal lead, it could be their downfall.
And if you do strong enough here as well, you can maybe burn the Moist Esports timeout before Champions Field is even needed. Vatira taking his time over at the back. Not the best clear. The infield pass with nobody around. And here's Vatira. And this might be partially to what you said, Johnny, because if this is 0-0, I imagine somebody's there for the infield.
Yeah, dive there from the second man. If you're going in like this, the second man, you better have your third man behind you ready to capitalize on whatever play you force. And unfortunately for Solary there was a bit of a disconnect between second and third there. So there was no follow-up challenge. And if there's no follow-up challenge, you got to make contact. Unfortunately for Solary, they did not make contact. Vatira slotting a delicious shot to the top corner.
Bo pops the ball up to the ceiling. Joyo with Verizon support. He avoids the first bump and instead went for the nutmeg. Didn't quite work out. The support was around this time. Rise right back up there. Yeah, no real points for guessing what the strategy is right now for Moist Esports. They look to create chaos and then find the shot. What a save that is by Mike Boy. Holds on to the 2-goal lead. A 2-goal lead that is looking more and more strenuous as we go along. They're still keeping it away. Joyo looks to set. Another crucial touch there by Mike Boy. Back into the midfield, and it's out of boost time for Moist. They have to back down and reset.
Just like Chicago did for G2 and NA, he was probably the quietest player at the Winter Major, then showed up and took over regional #1 in the spring. Vatira's doing the same thing. He was such a behind-the-scenes player for Team Queso at the Winter Major, letting Rise go up and be the top goal scorer, letting Joyo just steal the show with his offensive flair. And now Vatira's just doing everything.
Oh, what
a pass that is. Oh, he's going to get another goal for Solary, but though has to take so much praise for this one. That read is absolutely disgusting. That touch is even better. The Moist were not expecting that one.
You can say whatever you want during the timeout. You can't say anything that's going to encourage that level of brilliance. That is Foe off his own back. Only over 172 points. He's been worth way more than that. Not only in this series, but in this game. And that swings the momentum right back over to Solary just as the game was starting to look a little bit rough for them. They have put themselves back into prime position. Don't need to worry about a 2-goal deficit anymore. Rise chasing down. 90 seconds for Moist Esports to create something. Didn't quite flick it across. And there's the demo. There's the second. And that's goal number 5.
Just so impressive off the ball once again from Solary. The second goal of this game that has had a huge bumping and demoing component. A well-deserved lead. This has been one-sided in game number 5. Post-timeout, they have absolutely slaughtered Moist.
It just seems like we're just waiting out the timer at this point. Moist Esports would need a monumental collapse from Solary if they are to get back into this. And Solary, now you can put players behind the ball. Now you can try and wait out the clock.
Oh, yeah.
The hard work has been done. Or you can do what I get the feeling Solary are going to do and try and really compound the misery for the next minute.
Yeah, they're good now. I think, you know, sitting back on a 3-goal lead against Moist with 3 minutes and 30 left could be a mistake, but you're into the final minute now, leading by 4, so they can just do whatever they want, really. I think they've shown that they're a consistent enough team that even if they are going to concede and lose games to Moist, they make Moist work for it, and it takes time. So that's a position that I really never see Solary losing against anyone from. There are some teams out there who I can see throwing a 4-goal lead in a minute, but Solary are far from the top of that list.
No, Solary are not wild enough in the way that they play for that to really happen. I think the kickoff's just too good. You're not going to get those goals back-to-back against them like you might with certain other teams. This would do tick away. What a performance and what a bounce back by Solary. They've still got more work to do, but what a way to get started on it. Destroying Moist Esports over here on Wasteland.
Yeah, the better playstyle for Solary, clearly. Just try to go out there and win the game. None of this sitting back and waiting for mistakes, waiting for counterattacks, because that didn't prove to be a fruitful strategy. Even though they were getting the occasional goal and they were able to capitalize on the occasional misplay, Moist just had so much space, so much possession, so much time on the ball that they were able to win more consistently with and score more consistently with. But this is something I much rather see out of Solary, a more attacking mindset, a much more physical game plan off the ball in the final third, instead of just focusing on these rotations back into the midfield as a way of scoring. No, they're getting everybody involved now. And if they can keep doing this, Moist do look vulnerable today, but I think the problem really for Solary is that every time Moist are on a match point, every time that they're on elimination point, they seem to win. That's guaranteed now because Moist have put 3 wins on the board already. Solary need to go to elimination point in order to beat them. That's going to be the real test. But game 6, I think Solary could take this. I wouldn't be surprised if we go to 7.
You can see no timeout taken. Solary already burning theirs and to very good effect in game 5. Tira did drop out just to go and get another car. I think he was in the Octane to start with, so throwing him with another Octane, just a heavy dose of placebo.
Oh, yeah, he's been in Fennec. He's been in Fennec.
Okay, so this is a proper change.
I am surprised to see Vatira switching, but what I expect to see from Vatira means more aerial play. We're going to see a little bit more air roll and a little bit more flip resets. The Fennec is that 50-50 car, which we saw working out really well for him. The brick wall in defense and in the midfield. But now he's got the Octane and he's brought out the flare. I'm actually really surprised we haven't seen that from Joyo today, because he's not been having an off day per se, but he set such a high standard of expectation with the winter split that any series that doesn't contain a double reset or some goal of that level from him is actually him slumping.
Oski, I'm blaming you for the sense. That's off the post. Crossbar was OP to start the series. Post coming in clutch here. Stay at 0-0, and Vatira's taking over the ball. Buys his team some time, though it's not the best first touch from him. Mike Boy still around. Rise looks to try and take it away from him before he can get there. Bo sticking with it. That was his rollover on Guild. Now makes it useful here for Solary. This is the best spell that Solary can possibly hope for. This is where they want them to be. Rise, crucial touch, gets rid of it, but only did not overcommit. Start to head back, puts him in good spot. Vatira takes it by himself over to the wall. Couldn't find the block as he was out of boost.
It should really be 1-0 now for Solary. That was a completely uncontested shot from Tho from point blank range, and he hit the post. Tho, who has been so consistent today, and Solary, who have been capitalizing on the occasional Moist misplay, failed to do so in game number 6. Is that pressure starting to get to them? Are they starting to think too far ahead of themselves, starting to think that the fact that they might actually be able to beat Moist today? I think surely not. Tho's so experienced. Will he get a chance as good as that one again?
Oh, good touch by Joy. Had Oli just loitering around. Vatira pre-jumps. And he gets caught for it. Foe puts it underneath.
We're wondering, is he going to get another glorious opportunity? The answer is yes. Oli lurking upfield, cuts off the defensive touch into the back corner. And Tho getting the ball right through Vatira, who did have to pre-jump in the position. So Solary get their 1 goal lead. Should have been earlier. Honestly, the fact that they've got it later favors them. There's less time remaining in the game. Another physical play off the ball. Now Joyo having to dive in front of the near post there to stop what would have been a goal. It's honestly a fantastic recovery by Joyo to roll with that one. Just kept his momentum going in reverse. Kept this at a 1 goal difference.
And Foe is just going to be an annoyance. 0 boost. He'll still stick around. Although a huge dive in from Oli. You can see everybody over in the Moist Esports side of the field. Rise, free boost. Can't get the ball past Oli. And doesn't find any boost in the midfield either, so he's late back. That almost got his team caught. Mike Boy, off the wall. Joyo does have a tier on the far side. Can't get it back over to him. Tira, not a second touch. It's just not getting strung together. Moist Esports finding a few chances, finally clear their lines. Take a look at the clock. It's disappeared on them. Just under 2 minutes left. Might be heading over to Champions Field. The miss off the backboard certainly does not help. As we're straight over to Solary offense, 2-0.
Oh, Vatira, get back in the Fennec. What is this game? What is happening here? He misses the overhead clear, and then he completely misses the ball as he tries to try not to center. He's trying to hit it over the top of Oli there. That's why he's ended up missing. Wanted a very precise, hard hit, but this has been by far the worst game that we've seen from Moist throughout this series. They've hardly had any offense, and they've looked a lot easier to get past. It's Oli now trying to shove Rise out of the way of the ball. Rise does manage to stop that one. We are headed to game 7. Mike Boy gonna make it 3. Where's the defense? Moist actually conceding goal after goal after goal in this game and the last.
Sometimes when you see results like the one we got in the last game, you start to put it as like, all right, maybe that's the one-off. We're not going to see something like that again. No, Solary have got this figured out. The download is complete. As you said, with Champions Field on the way, you've got to imagine Moist Esports are going to use their timeout. They have to change something. At the very least, they might need to get Vatira out of that Octane as they do find a little bit of hope here. 1 minute and 3 seconds left. 2 goals to get.
Definitely hope for Moist. Full team passing play with Joyo scoring that goal at the end of it all. I think that's always the best player to see involved in an offensive play in order to get the hype up for Moist. They're going to get another quick opportunity off the kickoff. Rise shoots it first time. Mike Boy had the whole goal covered.
And Foe is going to burn as much time with this air dribble as he can. Joyo takes over, gets the pass over to Rise, who at a stretch gets there. Demo as well. Rise still on the opposite side of the field. Has he got support? It drops down dangerously. At least it would have done without some help.
Whoa!
Rise just drops onto it. That could have gone anywhere.
Great control by Tho. He's got no boost, but he is just going to stick to this ball, wasting so much time, and more importantly, buying his teammates time to get into position and restock on boost. Vatira, tight angle double, just goes right across the face of the net. That one flashed past the defense before they could react, and they're not done. Joyo shots off the post, and somehow it has stayed in the defensive corner.
Is that what is going to keep this game for Solary? They've had to fight for it in the last few minutes of this game, but it looks like they've held on. Champions Field on the way, looking to try and maintain position in the upper bracket. A reminder as well, Carmine Corp wait in the lower bracket, and the winner of this takes on either BDS or Team Vitality.